On the evening of December 8, 1980, the world froze as John Lennon's final words, I'm shot, echoed through the lobby of the Dakota. Lennon wasn't just a Beatle. He was a revolution in human form, a voice that changed how generations saw art, fame, and freedom. But that night wasn't just a tragedy. It was the start of one of the darkest mysteries in music history. For decades, questions have swirled around what really happened, and now, new revelations have brought answers that are more disturbing than anyone ever imagined. John Lennon's journey was never ordinary, born into heartbreak and chaos. On October 9, 1940 in Liverpool, he grew up torn between parents, abandoned by his father, and shaped by 5 strong women who each taught him something different about love, loss, and independence. As a child, he was mischievous, bold, and uncontrollable, a kid who turned his pain into rebellion. When his mother Julia was killed by a car in 1958, Lennon's world shattered, and that grief became the fire that fueled his art, pushing him to create music that spoke to millions. At 15, he formed the Quarrymen, a skiffle group that laid the foundation for what would soon become the Beatles. When he met Paul McCartney in 1957, something historic began. Their creative bond gave the world songs that would last forever. Joined by George Harrison and later Ringo Starr, they transformed music with their raw energy, humor, and honesty. The Beatles' rise was like nothing the world had ever seen. From their debut with Love Me Do to their explosive US arrival. On The Ed Sullivan Show, Beatlemania became a global phenomenon. Lennon's sharp wit and fearless attitude made him stand out, mocking the elite at royal performances and pushing boundaries in lyrics and style. But fame came with its price. The chaos of endless tours, screaming fans, and pressure pushed Lennon to experiment, from LSD to meditation, from rebellion to deep introspection. His famous 1966 remark that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus brought outrage, record burnings, and threats. But Lennon never backed down. He turned inward, using the studio as his canvas, crafting songs that reflected his heart and the chaos of the world around him. By the late 60s, Lennon's life intertwined with Yoko Ono, an artist who matched his intensity and vision. Their love became legendary and controversial, a partnership that blurred art and activism. Together, they protested wars, promoted peace, and created the Plastic Ono Band, producing songs that became anthems for change. But as his bond with Yoko grew, his marriage with Cynthia crumbled. Their relationship had been turbulent, full of passion and pain, ending when Cynthia discovered Yoko in their home. Lennon's second chapter began with Yoko, but it wasn't without turmoil. Between 1973 and 1975, during his separation from Yoko, Lennon's Lost Weekend with May Pang revealed a softer side of him. Pang, who had been Yoko's assistant, became his partner during a chaotic yet surprisingly productive time. Lennon reunited with his son Julian, reconnected with Paul McCartney, and even achieved a solo #1 hit with Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Despite the chaos, it was a time of healing and creativity, but it eventually ended when Lennon returned to Yoko. They settled into life at the Dakota with their son Sean, seemingly ready for peace after years of turbulence. But peace was an illusion. In the shadows was Mark David Chapman, a man whose admiration for Lennon had twisted into hatred. Chapman's obsession grew from Lennon's 1966 "More Popular Than Jesus" remark, and the perceived hypocrisy of his song Imagine, which dreamed of a world without possessions, while Lennon lived comfortably in New York. Chapman, driven by delusion and religious confusion, saw Lennon as a phony, a man who betrayed his ideals. Inspired by the fictional Holden Caulfield from The Catcher in the Rye, Chapman believed he was carrying out justice against hypocrisy itself. In December 1980, he traveled from Hawaii to New York, armed with a revolver, waiting for the perfect moment. That morning outside the Dakota, Chapman asked Lennon for an autograph. Lennon, ever kind, signed his copy of Double Fantasy without hesitation, unaware that hours later, that same man would end his life. At 10:50 p.m., as Lennon and Yoko returned home, Chapman waited in silence. Yoko walked ahead. Lennon followed. Chapman called his name, then fired 5 hollow-point bullets from 10 feet away. 4 hit Lennon, tearing through his chest and shoulder. Lennon staggered forward, gasping, "I'm shot! I'm shot!" before collapsing. Despite desperate attempts to save him, he was pronounced dead at 11:15 p.m. The world stopped. The radio played "All My Loving" as doctors declared him gone. News spread across the globe like wildfire. Vigils filled streets, fans wept outside the Dakota, and millions mourned a man who had given them not just music, but meaning. In the years since, questions about that night never truly faded. Was Chapman acting alone, or was there more behind it? Lennon's outspoken political activism and his surveillance by the FBI fueled theories that the government had a hand in silencing him. Some researchers and writers even claimed Chapman was manipulated or brainwashed, though no proof ever confirmed it. The one truth that remains is this: Lennon's death was the act of a fan consumed by obsession, confusion, and hate. Chapman remains behind bars today, denied parole repeatedly for his lack of remorse and the ongoing threat he poses. The world lost not just a Beatle that night, but a dreamer who dared to believe music could change the world. His voice may have been silenced, but his message still lives on, echoing through every song, every generation, and every moment that calls for peace and love. If you believe John Lennon's legacy deserves to be remembered forever, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin. And press the bell icon so you never miss the stories behind the legends who shaped our world.